Hey, check it.
What does resilience mean to you?
So resilience to me means the ability to adapt in uncertain situations, overcome adversity, to really be able to take punches, right, and come back swinging just as strong, and overcoming obstacles along the way.
Tell me a little bit about the obstacles that you have faced in your life.
Well, at one point in college, I tore my ACL, LCL, PCL, and both meniscus. Was told I potentially could not play football again at a young age, and so was able to overcome that and continue to play along that path. Also, from adversity standpoint, just I think growing up single household, right, and not always having everything that you would want to succeed, but you take the good and the bad, and you use the resources that you do have. You continue to rise above be resilient through adversity.
Mm-hmm. What do you think helped you build resilience?
I think along the way there were good people that were in my life. One being my grandmother, who passed away a couple years back, but was my best friend, who always really ensured that I had an appropriate individual and a guide through life. My mother was very strong, and I saw how resilient she was as a single mother. Had me young, probably 21 years old, continued to get her degree, start a career, and give me as much as she could, and to be able to see that, then I can't complain for anything for what I'm going through, right? So also great friends, great coaches, and so that really helped me along the way.
Now a lot of people are going through a lot of difficulties because of the epidemic. What is your advice to them?
Yeah, I mean, some of the best advice I would say is to continue to be positive and work on yourself through these times, you know. It's easy to get down, and it's easy to lose sight of what the end game or goal was because of that adversity, maybe losing potential jobs, but sometimes this is going to be a great opportunity for people to reinvent themselves and come out stronger, and so really to be able to take actionable steps to do so.
Yeah, so you had to reinvent yourself a few times in life, so what do you use back then? What was helpful to you?
Man, just I think a belief in a higher power that really is going to give you the strength to succeed as long as you put work in and do so, and really just having that intestinal fortitude. I think that I learned through athletics and sports, right? You get knocked down a lot in sports. You lose ball games, but you know if you go back and you put in the work, you rally, you get good teammates, and you give your best, at the end of the day, you're going to succeed more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you mentioned coaches before as being role models for you growing up. Can you remember like some messages that they told you that were helpful?
I mean, Rick Minner was always great with messaging every Friday before our games on Saturday. Essentially, he talked more about life than he did about football. And really a lot of it was being able to push through adversity that we're talking about today, and really seeing a bigger picture in life as a whole, and really understanding that we're in one moment. That game the next day is one moment, but really being able to see the clear picture of everything that you're doing along the way is going to create a better situation for you, your family, and generations after you. So that was a great. Rick Smith was a coach where he always really emphasized doing what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, and how it's supposed to be done. That was always something that really resonates with me. And then Mike Tomlin really focused on with leaders are being those that make them around them better. Leaders aren't necessarily the ones that are kind of we think about giving orders or lead, guide, and direct, but he always emphasized that if you're making everyone around you better, you are a leader in your own way. You don't have to be a vocal leader. There's also those leaders that put in the work and help each other individuals rise. So just some of the great things.
That's awesome.
There's many of them, many great coaches, Bernie Berry, all down the line. So.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And what led you to write the book?
So I was actually pushed to write the book through certain individuals told me that it had the potential to help others. I'm not much of a writer to where I'm going to sit and write and to get out, to get a story out. But it was more so kind of self-reflection on things that had helped me succeed over time. I'd kind of gone into a rut from a work standpoint, and it was the first time in my life where I'd kind of hit this wall where I'm like, I'm not having the success that I'm used to achieving. And so I began to really go back and diagnose what were things that really got me over the top growing up, or over top when I had the trauma with the knee. And so those are things that I was writing on paper to express myself, and individuals thought that my story could help others, and so at that time it inspired me to finish the book, and 22 Ways to Tackle Success came about.
That's awesome. So what are some of the things that you share in the book?
Yeah, some of the things are, it's funny that you talk about resilience today, because the ability to adapt. You have to adapt to circumstances, you have to adapt to situations along your path, because I always talk about setting goals to where you want to be. You have to focus on the day-to-day of where you are now, but you have to have somewhere that you're attaining to go. And you're going to get pushed off course throughout that. You're going to have to adapt, you're going to have to reroute, but you're still looking to get to that same end game. And so the ability to adapt, the ability to set goals, the ability to use pain for fuel, because believe me, I've had a lot of pain. That knee was a very painful experience. The rehab was painful, but every time I felt that pain, I knew that I had the ability to come back and keep going. One day it was going to go away. And so I was willing to go in and absorb that pain on a daily basis, because I knew that was going to push me to where I wanted to go. So in life, right, you're going to have situations where it's painful. You think it's the world is over, but those are situations where, again, you find out how strong you are to where you are able to come back and be an even better person than you were in that situation. So it's just some of the things there.
That's awesome. I know that you like to give back and engage in the community. What are some of the type of work that you have been done?
Yeah, so I'm on the board of Coreyville Catholic Elementary. It's been great because our mission is really help individuals in the inner city have an opportunity to learn through a different way, all right, a different approach. And so we've had great success there. And also, I am on the board of Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation. So we help over 900 students to continue their education in college, and so that's important. Also on the board of the Southwest Ohio Workforce Investment Board. And so how do we create more jobs and more opportunities in Cincinnati? And to be able to work with fine individuals all across the city that are really focused on not only how do we create jobs for individuals, but also how do we create futures, because we want not just a entry-level job, but also a sustainable income to where that we can continue to pass on for generations and see that there are opportunities out there. So beyond that, mentoring, coaching,
Right.
I don't know how I have enough hours in the day for all this, but it is important to give back, because so many people gave of their time for me. And so I have to give back and carry that on. That's the best way to really pay someone back.
When you think about the people who gave time for you, like who comes to mind?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, I think about my trainers, like when you first asked the question, because I know we worked overtime and to every day. I remember Christmas break, everyone was home. And I remember being in the Shoemaker Center trying to run for the first time since in 5 months. And it's snowing outside, but I have Pat Graham in there, right there along with me, going side by side with this, because she knew how bad I wanted it. And so that's special. That's just so special where people, it's not in what's in it for me, but what can I give and do for you, and so I can't thank her enough for that. I think about just teachers along the way as well who were impactful. I was always smart, but I can't say I was the best student. And so, but there were teachers along the way that saw that and just knew that, all right, I think you're bored, so we need to adapt, all right, and figure out a different way to get you wired and get you in, get you competitive. Let's compete a little bit about something, and I would thrive from those things. So as opposed to just allowing me to kind of meander and go about a certain way, it's about how can I get to you as a student individually and help you learn. And so just people, there's so many people along the way where it's hard to kind of pinpoint 1, 2, or 3. But I was lucky enough to have people that did interject and ensure that I succeeded.
So tell me a little bit about your transition from being a football player into being in the business world.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, the transition was fairly easy because when you go into the business world, you kind of think about it as an athlete and take it in that approach. Then you'll have a success. A lot of companies, organizations like to recruit former athletes because of we've talked a little bit about it, but the ability to overcome adversity, the ability to work with as a team, the ability to succeed as an individual, and to thrive on success, thrive on competition. And so coming into the business world, it really had made that easy from those experiences. And to where you just have to kind of change it, right? A little bit. Yeah, you're still doing the planning appropriately. Every time that we planned for a game, we had game plans, and then we take that and we put it into the ability to, after we practice, we execute on the field. It's the exact same thing in the business world. It's just that the game is a little bit different, and then your execution strategy is a little bit different. But the preparation is there, the competition is there. You still get those chills when you win, right? That excitement, that thrill, and also you still have the agony of defeat within there, to where you have to pick yourself up and continue to get better, and then come back even stronger. So all the same things that we go through as athletes, you experience in the business world, and so I think it's a great correlation.
So when you were growing up, do you imagine yourself doing what you're doing right now?
No. I think the only thing I thought that I was going to be was probably either a baseball player or a football player.
Okay.
But as I continued to go through the process, I was able to get to the NFL. And it's a small percentage of those that do. And so you kind of have that realization that there's something out there better for you, and that sometimes it's a good thing that you didn't make it, right? I'm still here, I can work out, I can do all these things, and all in all, I'm blessed to be able to do what I do, and it's because of the preparation through college of really taking that seriously. Even though I was an athlete, I was able to get my degree, take advantage of allow sports to get that degree, because I don't know how we would have paid for college without sports. So I'm blessed to be able to have sports to propel me to get to where I am today. But to the young kids, I like to say, the percentages are very small, and it's great to dream about being that pro athlete and allow that to push you, but always focus on that backup plan and really on what's next, because even players who've been in the league 3, 4, 5 years, they kind of lose themselves once they're done because they don't know what to do next or what they even want to do next. So it's really important for individuals to not only have a passion for that sport, etc., but what else is there that really would energize you and captivate you after. So
I love it. Thank you for saying that, because I always struggle with kids who only want to be athletes and that's it. They're not thinking about any other kind of plan. Okay, that's good. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about how have you coped with discrimination in life?
Yeah, well, had a lot of opportunities to be able to overcome it. So I can't say it's always have overcome it well, but it's tough. It's one of those things where I happen to to experience. We were in elementary in Indiana. If you know, Indiana can be notorious for discrimination, etc. I was a youth and didn't really know much about it because I mean, I get along with everyone, but one day, kind of going to a third grade baseball game, we get driven around with a truck, and they're yelling the N-word out of the car and almost run us over on the way to the game. I'm 8, so I don't really fully understand all of the complexities of what's going on, but I could just see my mom. I mean, she's yelling back, and I haven't really saw that look in her before, and so I go out and try to play the game, but my mind is elsewhere, right? I don't know what just happened. So many different things you kind of go through. You're trying to figure it out. And I was the only individual that would be called the N-word on my baseball team, so there's really anyone to talk to about some of those things, right? So how do you overcome it? Sometimes you just keep it inside and you figure it out. Growing up, I happened to be friends with a little bit of everyone, and so sometimes it almost feels like you have to pick a side to some degree, and so it's been interesting in both situations of where you get called names or this and that, and the best way to adapt is just be true to yourself, right? You know what's in your heart and who you are, and be the best you that you can be. You can't really change others. You can't change others' opinions about you. You can't change the perception that people already have before they meet you. But what you can do is you can leave your mark in regards to how they remember you. And so if you are true to yourself and you do exactly what you were raised to do, or you know that's good inside of you to do, then at the end of the day, the only thing that we can do is really hope that things change. And some people will never be able to change. Some things who knows, hopefully will change down the road, but right now it isn't. And so just keep living life as best we can and be strong.
In what ways do you think organizational support for racial equity can help improve employees' well-being?
I think I've seen companies that are trying to take initiative and do certain things, and I think what it can do for certain employees is to allow them to feel a little bit better in their own skin. I think one thing that companies don't know is that a lot of individuals, particularly minorities, will attempt to fit into the dynamic from a company dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times you're not seeing who that person truly is. And a lot of times you may not be getting the best out of that person because they're holding back certain things, certain components based on perceptions, etc. And so, and worries and fears, right? That they'll continue to fit in and be accepted. So I think just the understanding overall as companies and organizations, but then once you do understand, how do you interact and communicate and allow those individuals to be themselves and to feel as if that they have the ability to do that. And I think that you will then not only have individuals to be able to excel in those organizations, but also be able to recruit other individuals that see that and that say, I do want to work for an organization that is okay with me, for me, because I'm going to be the best person that I can be, but at least I can feel comfortable within myself and not fear that I won't have opportunities to grow, etc., unless I fit into a certain bubble.
Thank you. And then in what ways becoming a father changed your resilience level or your personality or the way you approach things?
Yeah, I mean it's a different animal becoming a father, and particularly a father of girls per se. And so I think I was already pretty dialed into not liking to lose, to always want to continue to grow and always wanting to be better. I think as being a father, it went beyond just those things, but also wanting to be a good role model, be a good example, really to show how you should treat other individuals, and also so that they have a good understanding of how they should expect to be treated overall as well. And so from a resiliency standpoint, I think it's a responsibility on my end to ensure that they're exposed to all things, have a great understanding, but in a good way, so that they have their own ability to accept, I guess, to make their decisions within the world, but through educated decisions, and really feel that they were put in a good position to succeed in life. There's so many things that they need to hear about, whether it's financial literacy, or whether it's manners, or whether it's just growth, health, mental and physical. And so just being able to truly understand, because I've experienced in 40-some years, what you go through, how do you now set them up to succeed in life as best as you can.